I'm sharing my screen. Here is the list of contents for today's discussion that will try to understand what are the Java servlets and how do we develop the servlets by using which all the packages, and then we'll try to understand the life cycle of a servlet, and also we'll try to understand how do we develop the web applications by configuring the Tomcat web server in Eclipse, and also we'll try to create a servlet there, right? So servlet is a server-side component which will be built by using Java programming language, and being a server-side component, it is going to sit inside the server, web server, and web server is the one which is actually meant to hold certain content that should be shareable through the internet-based protocols like your HTTP protocol or that. So on a server, if there is some functionality you wanted to perform by providing the accessibility to the end users through their browsers, right? So in that case, we need to have some server-side component that is available on that web server, and that component is going to provide an implementation in such a way that it should be platform independent methodology, right, which will be able to receive the incoming requests from any end users, whether they are accessing the application of that web server either from the Windows based environment or the Linux based environment or any other such environments. If they are using certain browser and they are trying to access my web server, and on my web server there must be some server side component available which should be able to read all those incoming requests from the end users, and based on their requests perform certain business logic on the server side and then send certain response or provide an appropriate result back to the end users who are trying to access through the browsers, right? So that is what the servlet is all about. So it is a server side component built by using your Java programming language, and it is able to access all your packages whatever you learned so far along with your JDBC components, JDBC packages, etc. And this servlet component is going to reside on the web server side, and it is accessible through the hypertext transfer protocol. So that way it is going to avail all those benefits, all those advantages whatever are provided by your HTTP, as well as the core Java language features such as portability, performance, reusability, all those things, right? So that way we'll be able to build the server side components by using Java. And once you are developing some component meant for the server side implementation, and that should be deployable on any one of the servers. So that server could be your Tomcat server, which is pretty regularly useful, or any bigger servers than Tomcat like your JBoss, WebLogic, WebSphere, whatnot. So several servers are there. All those servers will be acting as the containers for your servlet components, right? So that way we are going to build. So now we are also going to configure the Tomcat web server in our Eclipse so that we will be able to easily build the servlet components that are going to be deployed on that Tomcat web server, and we'll be able to execute them. We'll be able to run those server side components. So that way any server side component that you are going to build it is going to work in a model called request response programming model, and it is going to extend the capabilities of that underlying servlet container. If your servlet is there on your Tomcat web server, it is extending the capabilities of that server. If it is there on JBoss, the respective JBoss server side components, right? So that way, majority of the time, we are going to deploy it. I mean, for the initial development phase, during the development phase, you are going to develop all your applications to be executable against Tomcat web server, and later when they are getting posted onto the production environment, there could be JBoss, there could be WebLogic, there could be WebSphere, so that way people will be deploying the things on the production environment. So this is how we are going to work with. Then comes the servlet package. So how can you develop it? Like there is a package called javax.servlet package and its sub package called javax.servlet.http. So these two packages are helpful for us with a set of interfaces and classes which are required to develop the servlets. So any servlet that you are going to write, so every servlet is going to be implementing an interface called servlet interface, which is actually defining the entire life cycle. How the life cycle of a servlet should be. All those things are available. I mean, all those life cycle methods are available inside this servlet interface. And this servlet interface is implemented by generic servlet class and the subclass of this generic servlet called as HTTP servlet class, meant for the purpose of HTTP implementation. So non-HTTP implementation, all that is going to be taken care with the help of generic servlet. And in this case, generic servlet is the superclass, HTTP servlet is the subclass of it. And these servlet classes are implementing the servlet interface internally. So we exclusively need not to implement the servlet interface when we are going to develop our own interfaces, our own servlet components. We are simply going to extend the HTTP servlet class. That way we will be able to build our own servlet components, right? So that way every servlet you are going to develop, that would be defined with certain life cycle. So life cycle of the entire servlet is going to be controlled on that container, controlled by the container. Container means the server, the web server. So as soon as you developed a servlet and you loaded that servlet component onto that container, the very first step that gets executed is that it verifies whether this servlet instance is available on my container or not. If it is not there, load the respective class, then create the instance of that servlet class, and then any initialization activities need to be executed for one-time activity. So all those things will be available under init method. So that way init is to be considered as the very basic step that should be getting executed before it starts servicing the end users, right? So once init method is executed, that indicates that yes, your servlet is available, it is up and running on the Tomcat web server or whatever the server it is. Means now it is ready to accept the incoming requests that are incoming from any end users, right? So that way once you start passing the requests, passing the response objects, all that, it starts servicing them by executing a method called service method. So if it is a generic servlet class, it is service method. Whereas if it is a HTTP servlet class, then in that case, based on the HTTP method, whether it is get method, post method, put method, whatever it is, accordingly the respective do method will get executed. If you are using the HTTP post method, then it is going to execute the do post method, which is equivalent method available inside the servlet. So that way the servlet request processing and response generation is going to be taken care as long as that servlet is available on your server. And once you decided that let me shut down this particular servlet component from the server, then in that case you will be able to invoke a method called destroy method. So it will take care about all the finalizing activities. So init and destroy are the one-time activities which will get executed only once during the entire life cycle of that servlet component, and service method is the one which keep on servicing based on the number of requests, based on the number of end users who are trying to invoke that particular servlet component, right? So that way init, service and destroy, these three methods are known as the life cycle methods of a servlet component. So here little more detailed. So this init method comes from the servlet interface, and in case if the initialization is not able to get completed, it is going to throw you an exception saying that unavailable exception. Means this servlet is not available on this server. That is what that unavailable exception means. If it is available, then you will be able to invoke the service calls. You will be able to invoke the appropriate do calls. Right? So that is what known as the service methods. Based on either generic servlet or HTTP servlet, accordingly the respective things will be taken care. And in case if you are trying to pass any parameters, if you are passing any incoming parameters to your servlet component, that job will also be done with the help of servlet request interface. So you can pass the parameters, you can pass the object value attributes. You will be able to track about which protocol it is used to get communicated with the end users, right? So how this client server mechanism is processed under which protocol and under which under which localized setup this particular server is running from. So all that localized information, protocol information, all that will be able to track with the help of this servlet request interface. When it comes to the HTTP servlet class, there is another class available, HTTP servlet request, which deals with all your request URL, request information, request parameters, request headers, whatnot, all that. So once we start executing, there you can understand what this URL, all that. So URL means in your browser the address you are going to enter to connect to who, that would be known as the URL, Uniform Resource Locator. Similarly, once we are going to make our Tomcat web server up and running, then we should access our web application which is deployed on that server with the help of URL, right? So in that case we need to use the HTTP protocol. So once we start doing this, that there you can understand all this context path means what, servlet path, path info, query string. Query string means the values that you are passing to that particular servlet, right? So after that particular servlet name, which begins with the question mark, all that, they are all known as query string. These things we'll see practically, right? Then once you come back and read this theory, there you can understand all that about. So let's do one simple thing. So before we try to understand all these things, so let us do the setup on your boxes. So who would like to share the screen? Shrikanya, Raja, anyone? Ahmad, Josna. We will do the setup of Tomcat. So those who don't have that particular Tomcat available yet, then they can. Okay. So I am making you the presenter, Ahmad. Please share your screen. Okay, please make the screen resolution right. Perfect. Now go to Eclipse. Okay, so before we do configuration, let us download the Tomcat web server. So the one which you are working is Java 1.8, right? So you are using JDK 1.8. Yes, I can see in your JDBC practice project, JRE system library, Java SE 1.8. Fine. Fine. Let us go to Google and say Tomcat download, or you can say Tomcat 8 download. Because you are using Java 8, you can download Tomcat 8 download. Yeah. Yes, let's go to the very first link and then slowly scroll down. Yeah, there are two versions, 8.5 is there and 8.0 is also there. So can you go to your Eclipse once? Let's see if your Eclipse does not provide the Tomcat 8.5 adapter. There is no use by downloading that Tomcat 8.5. So right now, so far we were operating our Eclipse workspace in a core Java perspective. From now on, we are going to operate our Eclipse in Java EE perspective. Right, so can you go to the right top corner? Beside that one, beside your the last icon, so before that there is one icon. Is it with respect to Java EE? Click that one. Right, so it is a Java EE perspective. So when you click that one, your package explorer is replaced with project explorer. Very fine, no problem. So now we need to create a new project. So click that file menu, new. We need to create a new dynamic web project. Yes. So you'll verify which server it is available. So here we'll mention the project name, and then this project need to be executed on a targeted server. So there is target runtime. Do you see the next option? We'll come back to the project name. So just check that target name. So right now none is there, means no target yet defined through your Eclipse. So click that new runtime button. Right. So these many number of Apache adapters are there. Scroll down slowly. Do you see Apache Tomcat 8.5? Yes. Right. So now you can download your Apache Tomcat 8.5. If it is not there, then there is no use of it. Then again you need to download Apache Tomcat 8 only. So go back to the Google. Yeah, you are there in 8.5 binary distributions core. Zip link is there. Zip, the very first link inside your core. Zip link is there. Binary distributions. Next radio button core. Next radio button zip. Just click on that zip link. Link is there. Hyperlink is there. Zip. Yep. Click on that one. It starts downloading. Yeah, you can save it. Yeah, let it be. Let it get downloaded fully. So once downloaded, then you can go back to that folder where it has got downloaded. Just right click, or you can say extract to. Click the button extract to. Yes. So it should be extracted in the same folder you want to extract, or if you want to keep it anywhere. Same folder is fine. If you can remember it easily, yes, say OK. Yep, click OK. Now close this one. Go to your downloads, Java training. Right, the very first folder. Go inside that folder. Go inside that. Yes, it is extracted successfully. Fine. You can close this. Now you can come back to your Eclipse. So what is that we extracted? We extracted Apache Tomcat 8.5. Right? So select that Apache Tomcat v8.5. You are trying to configure the new server runtime environment. Select it and click the next button. right? So the name of the server will be remain. Then Tomcat installation directory. You can click the browse button. Now go to your Java training folder where you just now extracted. App users, ASOT, scroll down, Java training, Apache Tomcat 8.5.8. Select the second Apache. Yep. Select. Yes, click OK. That's all. That is your Tomcat installation directory. Now click Finish. Okay. So that is your target runtime. Now let us mention project name. You can say my web project. My capital M Y web capital W project capital P, right? Project. Okay. Now click the finish button. Okay. So my web project is created, a new project in your project explorer. You can see that. Go there, expand that, and here Java resources is there. So inside that you can find SRC folder, wherein you can write your own servlet components, all that. So right click on SRC, create a new package, name that package is com.servlet.practice. Okay, click that, uncheck that create package info.java, it is not required. Yeah, click finish button. Okay, now right click on that package. Now say new servlet. Can you see new servlet? Yes, this is how we will be able to define that. So even servlet is also be written as public class, your own servlet, all that. So mention the class name. Let's say hello servlet. Servlet is also a class, so it is not a separate this thing. Hello servlet, S capital. Right. So super class is HTTP servlet. Fine. Then click the next button, or you can click the finish button. Right. So that is your name, any description you want to provide, all that you can do. No need of anything else at this moment. Just say finish. Right. So there you go. So inside your package, it has created a new .java file, hello servlet.java. Right. And line number 3, it is importing some packages. Just click on that plus symbol. You can see that import java.io.io exception, because it is trying to write some output to the end users. So all that output writing is nothing but IO exception. And then servlet exception. And it is going to use the @web servlet annotation at line number 13. It is the one which is actually used to register your servlet component on the server. Right? And then your servlet class is extended from HTTP servlet. So line number 6 is importing that. And line number 14, you can observe that public class hello servlet extends HTTP servlet, and inside which there is a constructor, and if you scroll down there will be a do get method at line number 27, 28. Scroll down. So after the constructor, Line 28 is showing you do get method, which is receiving the request object of type HTTP servlet request, comma, HTTP servlet response, and is throwing servlet exception, comma, IO exception. Right? And then it is trying to write something, response.getWriter.append, all that. So just simply let us run. We will not write any lines of code on our own. Right? Save this. Of course, nothing, we made any changes in this, so nothing to save. Just say run as, run on server. Okay, Tomcat v8.5. For the very first time you are configuring it, simply click the next button. So on the Tomcat 8.5 server, your project need to be configured. So it is already added onto the right side. My web project is configured. Right? No, we should not remove that. So it should be there. And then click the finish button. Right. At the bottom, you can see the console tab. Right. And all those Tomcat startup activities are listed out there. And the last statement that you can observe on your console saying that, last statement is pretty important for us. Info server startup in 638 milliseconds. Means your Tomcat 8.5 server is started within those milliseconds. And then you can also observe one more tab, markers, properties, next tab, servers tab. Right. So there you can see Tomcat v8.5 server at localhost, which shows the started, means it is the status of your server. When it is stop, it shows stop. And expand that one, click that very first triangle symbol. Yes. So there you can see that your My Web project is added to that server. Right? So as soon as your server is up and running, it is launching the inbuilt browser of your Eclipse, which is nothing but Internet Explorer like this. And it is trying to load that browser with this URL saying that http://localhost:8080. Localhost is nothing but your Tomcat server is registered itself as a localhost and is running at the port number called 8080 slash, and you added your My Web project to that server, so slash My Web project, that is the context path, followed by hello servlet. So it is the actual component path, servlet path we can say. Right? So not only the browser of your built-in browser of the Eclipse, but you can also access this URL from your external browsers like Chrome browser. You can copy this URL, go to Chrome browser and paste it there. Copy the URL, just keep the cursor, click on that, yes, copy, go to your Chrome browser and paste in any new tab. There you go. So what does it say? It says that this hello servlet is served at /my web project. Got it? So now what is that we want to do is, so we wanted to write our own lines of code there. So we wanted to write our own lines of code. So go to the hello servlet.java file and go inside that do get method, line number 2930. You can remove those two lines. Okay, copy these two lines that I pasted. So we are trying to bring the print writer object to write some output. So import that from java.io.printWriter. Right. So response object returns me that object. So response.getWriter gives me the print writer, and I would like to print a simple message saying that hello world. right? So your context is reloaded. Right, now go back to your Chrome browser and just refresh the URL. There you go. So you can see that hello world content is printed now. And right click on the source file, right click on that hello world area and view the source code, view page source. So what is that source showing you? Very simple thing, just it shows hello world, only one line of content that has got generated as a result of this page. So that is hello world. Suppose I wanted to generate some beautiful content, like not only this simple content, but I want to display some HTML content that hello world need to be kept in the bold letters, right? So all such things I want to do, and also I wanted to have the title for my web page. So all such activities I would like to apply. So for that purpose, so go back to your code. So you can comment out line number 34. And I am pasting some lines of code there. Just copy them. Okay, so my response need to be text/HTML. So I want to load all my content as the HTML format, and I am trying to write some lines of code there in the HTML form. So HTML is nothing but the web page. HTML document is nothing but a web document, web page. And web page is divided into head section and body section. So head section will be written with some title and some JavaScript lines, all such things. So we added some title there, and then inside the body I am trying to write the bold content, hello world, welcome to servlet programming, and then I am closing my body and also the HTML. Right, save this and try to run this now. Yeah, go back, it is just, you can refresh, no need to run it again and again. It is already running there on your Chrome browser. So you can go to your Chrome browser and refresh the page. Right, you can see the title of the page, hello servlet. Right, title of the tab, hello servlet is shown, and hello world, welcome to servlet programming, all that is shown in bold format. Now right click and then view the source code of this page. There you go, you can see all that HTML content. So dynamically all these lines of content has got generated there. So this is how we'll be able to work with. Clear? Any questions here? Any questions so far? So this is how we need to run the servlet. And one more thing I just wanted to highlight. Can you go back to the code? We were using @web servlet annotation there at line number 15. Right, so this annotation is used to register our servlet class on the container. and whatever we mentioned within double quotes, it is the name of the servlet. Of course, the name of the class and name of the servlet both are given same in this case, just to avoid the confusion. For example, let me rename it. Just say /hello, remove servlet. Right, save this. So we did no changes inside the code. We are just renaming the web servlet name. Now go back to the browser and refresh the page. So what it says, hello servlet, HTTP status 404. The description it says is the requested resource is not available. Because it is not hello servlet Java class is there, but it is registered with your web server with the name hello, not hello servlet. So how can you access it? You need to say localhost :8080/mywebproject/hello, not hello servlet. Right? So just try to rename that in the URL. There you go. So this way you will be able to observe that change. Right? So earlier, once upon a time, we used to write all these servlet naming conventions, servlet, how it need to be mapped with the server, all those things we used to write inside the web.xml. But now, with the introduction of this annotation, so we need not to write any web.xml file. Otherwise, for every project there was a web.xml. Of course, we need that web.xml going forward once we start working with the Spring MVC framework, all that. So there we will be revisiting that web.xml. There we will understand what that web.xml is trying to do actually. So web.xml is known as the deployment descriptor. So what all the components need to be deployed on our server will be informed to the server by using that web.xml. So that is how we are going to use it. Right? So that is all about the usage of this web servlet annotation, all that. And if you observe, whatever the lines of code that we wrote now are there inside the doGet method. So why we wrote the code inside doGet method, why not inside the doPost method? So there is one more method. So at line number 31 you can see that doGet, protected void doGet, with the same syntax, with the same two input parameters, with the same throws class. If you scroll little down after line number 44, you can see one more method, protected void doPost. Right? So we'll be revisiting the doPost, how it works, all that. So right now what doPost is doing, doPost syntax is also same as the doGet syntax, and it is trying to throw servlet exception and IO exception, all that. And there you are trying to write a doGet method there. Means your doPost is not doing any special logic. It is just simply making a call to the doGet. Right? So every servlet need to do certain functionality. So basically all that functionality will be written inside doGet, so that by default the servlet will get loaded in the HTTP's get method. If it is not getting loaded by using the HTTP's get method, then in that case it should go to the post method. That time it is going to execute the doPost method. So even though it is a doPost method execution, the logic that need to be executed, that need to be processed at the back end should be same. So that is the reason we are not rewriting the same logic again and again in the same doGet and doPost twice. We are just trying to reusing the functionality which is already written inside doGet. So for that reason, doPost is simply making a call to the doGet. Right? So we'll understand when doGet will be executed, when doPost will be executed, all that. Right? So this is all about how do we create a servlet and how do we run that servlet. Now to stop your server, you can go to console and you can stop your server. Go to console. Yep, click that one and there is a red button on your console. Yes, click that one. It is going to terminate your Tomcat. And now you can see that in your servers list, Tomcat v8.5 server at localhost is now in stopped condition. Earlier it was started, but now it is all stopped, right? Now you can go back to your Chrome. So server is not running now. Now try to refresh it. It is trying to get connected, but it is not able to find that localhost at all. So it says that localhost is refused to connect. This site cannot be reached. Means your server is down. Hence you are not able to connect to that server. Right? So that is how the servlets are. Now let us try to write one more servlet. So I want to write a new servlet which is able to read the parameters to that. So let's see how a servlet is going to read the parameters to it. Okay. So go back to the package and then create a new servlet. And we want to write this servlet just to read a parameter or one parameter or a set of parameters. And here we'll say that servlet params. Servlet params. Params, P-A-R-A-M-S. Params means parameters. Yep. Finish. Okay. Just go inside the doGet method, remove line number 29 and 30 and copy all these lines of code there. Import that print writer. So here if you see, same thing, response, we are trying to set the content type to load text or HTML and we are getting the writer object, print writer object, and then we are defining one string variable called title, and that title we would like to use it as the title of the web page, which is concatenated to the out.println's title tag. And also I would like to display that title as the h1 header inside the body of the page. And then we would like to print some parameters there in the unordered list. Unordered list means bulleted list. Param1, param2, param3. 3 parameters we would like to display there. Right? So all those 3 parameters we would like to read them from the request object. So request is our incoming object which is declared on line number 31. HTTP servlet request. So that request object we are using it to read those parameters like request.getParameter followed by the parameter name. Okay, save this. Now try to run this. Right now your Tomcat is stopped. Click finish. It will start the Tomcat to run this servlet. There you go. So you can see that reading request parameters is the title, heading, and param1, param2, param3 are displayed as the bullet points, list items they are all, and it is not displaying any values. Simply it is saying null, null, null because you are not passing any values to that. So how can we pass the values? So go to the URL and at the end of the URL, put question mark. So the string that starts with question mark, So from there onwards it is all known as query string. So what is your first parameter name? Param1. PARAM 1 equal to, you can write your name, ampersand shift 7, ampersand symbol, shift 7. I mean and symbol, and symbol. Right. Param2 equal to some other value. Say give one more name. Say Raja. Ampersand Param3. Small. It is the name of the variable, right? So you mentioned PARAM3 equal to say Thirumal. So these are the three parameters we are trying to pass to the servlet params servlet. And now press enter. There you go. So it is reading all those three parameters, and those three parameters are printed there on your web page. Param1 is Pasha, Param2 Raja, Param3 Thirumal. Right, got it? So how we are reading it? Just by simply using the method called getParameter method of the request object. When we say request.getParameter of our parameter name, it is able to read that value. And how do you pass the values? Like this we will be passing the values. Right? So this is how we are able to pass the parameters, and you can see that how that query string is concatenated to the URL. You can copy this URL and go to your Chrome and try there also. You need to select the whole thing. Yep. Copy, paste it, paste the same thing in your, there you go. Right? So same output you are able to get there. Okay. So we'll stop here. Okay, we have seen how do you configure the Tomcat web server in Eclipse, and how do we write some simple servlets. Right, and I also pasted a couple of URLs here, so which will give you some good theoretical pointers. So to understand the very first article, I recommend you to read it about Java Beat article. So not only for servlets but for many other Java related topics you can refer this website. Very good website operated from Chennai. Right, they explain very well. So lot of good articles are there. Right. So if not now, even in future also you can refer. See on the top you can see the links. Home, Java, Spring Framework, JSF tutorials, most popular. Right. About us, all that is there, very well explained. And also tutorialspoint.com operated from Hyderabad, and docs.oracle.com, anyway you know that it is a Oracle documentation, and hmkcode.com is also one good web tutorial. So that is explaining you with respect to that @web servlet annotation. Okay, so just try to go through, try to walk through these URLs and try to understand the theory that is talking about the servlet components and all. Okay, and try to get some practice other than these two servlets. If you want to practice anything else, give a try and let me know if you have any questions, all that, right? And we'll be discussing on those things in tomorrow's class. Any questions? Okay, if you don't have any questions, let's terminate here. And I am uploading all your previous classes already uploaded. Just check them and download them. I'm going to delete few of them. Okay, that's all for today. Right, see you tomorrow then. Thank you guys. Have a good day.